A court in Japan has found Australian grandmother Donna Nelson guilty of importing 2 kilos of methamphetamine last year. She's been sentenced to 6 years jail, minus time already served. North Asia correspondent James Oaten joins us now from Tokyo. James, g'day. So what did the judge have to say?
Good afternoon. Well, this will be absolutely devastating news for the family of Donna Nelson. Her daughter, Crystal Hilaire, who has stayed in Japan throughout the trial, spoke to the media on the way in before the verdict was delivered. And they were confident that the judge would see that she was the innocent victim of a love scam, and certainly her lawyers had expressed that confidence as well. But ultimately what the judge has ruled is that there were too many doubts that Donna Nelson should have picked up on about this whole love interest that she developed and the idea of picking up a bag for an essential stranger. There were too many doubts that she overlooked, and therefore she was guilty of this crime. The judge has sentenced her to 6 years jail. Now, 430 days has already been served, so that will be taken off the sentence there. And she's been fined $10,000. So just to backtrack about how we got here, Donna Nelson had sparked up an online romance with a man named Kelly. And she hadn't met this man, but the two interacted for 2 years via text messaging, through video chats as well. They had tried to meet up on multiple occasions, but eventually Kelly bought her tickets to Japan, but with a 3-day stopover in Laos. When she was there, she picked up a bag, and hidden in that bag were the 2 kilograms of methamphetamine that she took to Japan. Now, she had long argued that she was tricked into taking this bag, believing it was a suitcase that he needed for his fashion business. But there were just, as I mentioned, from the judge's perspective, just too many red flags. She should have had doubts that the story that Kelly was telling her simply did not add up. For example, when she meets an associate of Kelly in Laos, why didn't the associate take the bag to Japan? When she receives the bag, it's a very ordinary looking bag, it doesn't look special, and when she arrives in Japan, it was broken. We also know, for instance, from the prosecution that she filled out her arrival card incorrectly, saying she wasn't taking anyone else's bags or suitcases, that everything was her own. So the prosecution long argued that she was not a reliable witness. Fundamentally, that's what has caught her here. It's not necessarily that they've definitely proven that she intended to take the drugs. In fact, the court here acknowledged she was a victim of Kelly as well. But there were just too many warning signals that she overlooked, and she must have had doubts. That's what the court is saying. She must have known something was potentially wrong and illegal with that suitcase she picked up.
And James, under the Japanese system, is there any likelihood she'll get parole before the 6 years? And what happens next?
Well, what happens next is that the lawyers have said that they will fight. They will definitely fight this, and they said that right from the start, that regardless of today's outcome, if she was found guilty, that they thought she was an innocent person and they would continue to fight. We've also just heard from, there's a statement from the family of Donna Nelson saying they are disappointed and devastated by the court's verdict, and that they maintain that their mum was the victim of a romance scam. So there's no chance of early parole that we heard of in the court case just before. But as I mentioned, she has already served 430 days, so it is more like 4 years from today rather than the full 6 years. The Australian Embassy did speak to the media briefly, saying they're providing consular assistance to Ms Nelson and the family. So now we've just got to hear about when this appeal will actually be filed.